buzzed with derision when humanity's first diplomatic vessel emerged from the jump gate 3 cycles late. The sleek ship, painted in earth tones of brown and blue, drifted toward the massive station with what appeared to be crude patches along its hull. Ambassador Krell of the Vorthon Empire adjusted his ceremonial robes and sneered at the primitive craft through the observation deck's transparent aluminum. "Look at that pathetic excuse for a starship," Krell muttered to his aide, Nix. "No wonder. They're the last species to achieve faster-than-light travel. Their technology is clearly inferior." The other assembled delegates shared similar sentiments. The crystalline Nexari representatives chimed in harmonic mockery, while the gaseous Epherans released puffs of dismissive vapor. Even the typically reserved Valdorian Trade Council members exchanged knowing glances. Humanity had taken nearly 2,000 standard years longer than any other species to develop jump drive technology, and their late arrival to the Galactic community had become a source of widespread ridicule. Captain Stone stood on the bridge of the human vessel Resilience, watching the massive alien station grow larger on the viewscreen. His weathered face showed no emotion as he listened to the chatter from the alien vessels surrounding them. The universal translator picked up every mocking word, every derisive comment about humanity's supposedly primitive nature. "Captain," called out Lieutenant Brooks from the communication station, "we're receiving multiple hails from the alien delegates. They're not particularly welcoming." Stone nodded grimly. "I expected as much. Set us down in Docking Bay 7 as instructed. And Brooks, make sure our external cameras are recording everything." As the Resilience settled into its assigned berth, crowds of alien dignitaries gathered at the viewing platforms. They had come to witness humanity's first formal introduction to galactic society, expecting to see a species of bumbling primitives stumble through basic diplomatic protocols. The airlock hissed open, and Captain Stone emerged flanked by his diplomatic escort. The humans wore simple, practical uniforms of dark fabric, their appearance unremarkable compared to the elaborate attire of the other species. Ambassador Krell stepped forward, his towering frame casting a shadow over the human delegation. "Welcome to civilized space, humans," Krell announced with barely concealed condescension. "Though you arrive fashionably late, we suppose even primitive species must eventually evolve." Stone's expression remained neutral. "We appreciate the warm welcome, Ambassador. Though I should clarify something about our delay." "Oh, please do enlighten us," chimed the lead Nexari delegate, their crystalline form pulsing with amused light patterns. "What possible excuse could justify such tardiness? Equipment failure, navigation errors, or perhaps your species simply lacks the intelligence for punctual travel?" The assembled aliens erupted in various forms of laughter and mockery. Some species clicked mandibles, others released harmonic trills, and a few simply vibrated with amusement. Stone waited for the noise to subside before speaking. "We weren't late due to technical difficulties, Ambassador. We were late because we stopped to help." The mocking sounds gradually faded as confusion spread through the crowd. Ambassador Krell's features twisted with skepticism. "Help? Help whom?" 3. Systems back, we detected distress signals from a cargo vessel under attack by raiders. The ship was badly damaged, life support failing, crew dying. Stone's voice carried no pride, just simple statement of fact. "We couldn't ignore that." Lieutenant Brooks stepped forward, activating a portable holographic display. The three-dimensional image showed the Resilience engaged in fierce combat with several smaller vessels around a burning cargo ship. The human vessel moved with surprising grace and deadly efficiency, its weapon systems far more advanced than their crude appearance suggested. The raiders had superior numbers and firepower, Stone continued as the hologram played out the battle. But they weren't expecting us to fight like humans fight. The assembled aliens watched in growing silence as the recording showed the Resilience, taking devastating hits while positioning itself between the raiders and the damaged cargo vessel. Human fighters launched from hidden bays, their pilots executing maneuvers that defied conventional tactical doctrine. They flew with reckless courage, accepting enormous risks to save complete strangers. "Those brown stains on our hull aren't rust or poor maintenance," Stone explained quietly. "That's blood. Human blood." We lost 12 crew members in that engagement, including our chief engineer and our head of security. But we saved 43 lives aboard that cargo ship. The hologram showed the aftermath, human crews working desperately to evacuate wounded aliens from the damaged vessel, their own ship scarred and bleeding atmosphere from multiple hull breaches. Medical teams worked frantically in corridors slick with human blood, treating both their own wounded and the aliens they had rescued. Ambassador Krell's expression had completely changed. The condescension was gone, replaced by something approaching awe. Around the viewing area, other delegates stood in stunned silence. The Nexari had stopped their mocking light displays. The Epherins floated motionless. The cargo ship was from the Outer Rim Trading Collective, Stone added. They had no military escort, no means of defense. Standard Galactic protocol would have been to report the attack and let proper authorities respond. By the time help arrived, everyone aboard would have been dead. A new voice spoke from the crowd. Captain Thale of the Valdorian Merchant Marine pushed through the assembled delegates, his blue-scaled face showing deep emotion. That was my cousin's ship, the Far Wanderer. Those were my family members you saved. The silence stretched longer. Finally, Ambassador Krell found his voice. Your vessel appeared damaged, primitive. We assumed. Never assume anything about humans based on appearances, Stone replied. We patch our ships with whatever works. We paint them to blend with the void. We build them to fight and to save lives, not to look impressive at diplomatic functions. Captain Thale stepped closer to the human delegation. The collective owes humanity a debt that cannot be repaid. My cousin's children are alive because of your sacrifice. We don't want payment, Stone said simply. We stopped because it was the right thing to do, because that's what humans do. The crowd began to disperse, but the conversation continued, in hushed tones throughout the station. Word spread quickly through the galactic communication networks. The primitive, backward humans who had arrived late to their own diplomatic debut had done so because they had risked everything to save strangers. Within hours, the story had reached every corner of civilized space. The images of the blood-stained, human vessel, of human fighters dying to protect alien civilians, of human medical teams working desperately to save lives regardless of species, circulated through news networks and diplomatic channels. Ambassador Krell found Captain Stone later, in the station's observation lounge, staring out at the stars. Captain Stone, Krell began hesitantly, I owe you an apology. We misjudged your people severely. Stone turned from the viewport. At close range, Krell could see the weight of command in the human's eyes, the burden of the decisions he had made. No apology necessary, Ambassador. You couldn't have known. Stone paused, then added quietly, though I hope this helps you understand why we were late, and why we'd be late again if the same situation arose. Krell studied the human captain with new respect. Your species, you fight for others at cost to yourselves. This is not common in the galaxy. Maybe not, Stone replied, but it's common among humans. We don't abandon people who need help regardless of the personal cost. That's not who we are. As word of humanity's actions spread, the mockery ceased entirely. The aliens who had ridiculed Earth's late arrival began to understand that they had encountered something unprecedented in galactic society, a species that would sacrifice their own interests, their own lives, for the welfare of complete strangers. The blood on human vessels became a mark of honor throughout the galaxy, a reminder that true strength wasn't measured in the beauty of one's ships or the punctuality of one's arrival, but in the willingness to bleed for others when it mattered most. Humanity had arrived late to the galactic community, but they had announced their presence in a way that would never be forgotten.